Sexual perversion. What Nagel is doing in his journal is defending sexual perversion against the charge of unintelligibility and trying to say exactly what about human sexuality qualifies it to be perversion. Nagel states that if there is any sexual perversion at all, that there must be a sexual desire or practice that can be described as unnatural, which is the issue. Examples of these unnatural practices or desires are like intercourse with animals, infants, and inanimate objects. According to Nagel, sexual perversion also includes anything with shoe fetishism, bestiality, and sadism. A sexual perversion must reveal itself in conduct that expresses an unnatural sexual preference. In this journal, Nagel discusses how sex as an appetite that, just like hunger and thirst, need to be met and should not always be considered perversion. For example, someone who likes to eat sand or paper. Now, these items aren't normally in the category of good foods, but is it enough to call that person perverted for eating such outlandish things? But, on the other hand, if the person enjoyed the eating of cookbooks or the fondling of an ashtray from their favorite restaurant, this might be different enough to be considered perversion. Nagel then talks about the relationships that are had in sex and how when sexual desire occurs by itself, it can be unhealthy and unnatural. As stated in the article, sexual desire is described as being an expression of love or some other attitude. Nagel states that he thinks it is very important that sexual attraction should be towards a particular individual who transcends the properties that make him attractive. Examples of these properties are things such as like eyes, hair, figure, laugh, and maybe even the intelligence of the other person. Later on in this journal, Nagel continues to talk about how sexual awareness of another person is important and how it is important for the partner of someone to be aroused, not only by them, but the fact that they are aroused because of them. He references Romeo and Juliet and how when Juliet was aroused, Romeo was aroused at the fact that she was aroused by him being aroused. He then refers back to sexual perversion and the stages within. In his first stage, if the object that you are attracted to was not alive, the experience is reduced entirely to an awareness of one's own sexual embodiment. When attracted to small children or animals, it is the awareness of the embodiment of the other with the problems of reciprocity and the object not being aware of their own sexual self-awareness. Nagel speaks about the masochist and how they cannot find a satisfactory embodiment as the object of another person's sexual desire, but only as the object of his control. This ties into his second stage. In Nagel's three other categories and stages, like elaborations of sexual acts, intercourse with more than two persons, and homosexuality, we see much more difficulties in his classifications. Any sexual contact between a man and woman that gives them pleasure sexually is a possible vehicle for a system of multi-level interpersonal awareness. Nagel closes his journal with a quote, "Bad sex is better than no sex at all. But in actuality, what is bad sex? Is sexual perversion bad sex? Or is it just something that people need because normal sex is too boring for them?" Thank you.